Alright, here we are, best of 3 for this South American semifinal in the closed qualifier for the PGL Bucharest minor. Get right on into the draft between these two teams, and we take a look. Spirit Breaker picked up by DC.SA, Jakiro, and Bloodseeker for SG Esports, and now DC.SA, they pick up that Bat Rider, so got that position for Spirit Breaker, offlane Bat Rider, and then SG Esports, Jakiro, and Bloodseeker. What are you thinking so far?
Well, Spirit Breaker is a pretty solid first pick. He's usually played as a position 4 and provides some of the easiest initiation in the game. Doesn't really require any items to do his thing in team fights. And Jakiro and Bloodseeker are a bit interesting. So Bloodseeker's been sort of a pretty strong hero this patch, especially since he's so good at early and mid game skirmishes. And Jakiro is a bit interesting because I guess maybe it's to supplement the Bloodseeker, because Jakiro is really good at setting up lanes and fighting potential dual or tri-lanes. And so maybe they're thinking they need a strong support to help the Bloodseeker get set up in a potential lane, and then usually the Bloodseeker can win it from there. And it looks like DC South America, they picked both of their initiators so far, Spirit Breaker and Bat Rider, so they're pretty flexible on what kind of cores they can pick. We see a Monkey King ban from SG Esports. I think a lot of these South American teams have been valuing Monkey King as a carry, just because he's so strong in lane against most heroes, and he can get a lot done in the mid and late game.
Yeah, we've seen a bunch of Monkey King, and we've actually seen a couple of Jakiros. Jakiro with this lineup so far looks pretty good. Not sure I quite remember how it fared the other day, but I feel like Jakiro and Tusk is a solid combination in itself.
Yep. Jakiro is exceptionally strong this patch as well, because siege creeps are so strong, so it's very easy to take towers if the enemy team doesn't contest you, and so that liquid fire is so effective at keeping your creep wave alive and doing damage to the tower, because it slows the tower attack speed.
So Jakiro's going to be in that 5 most likely, with Tusk getting picked up. And are Jakiro and Tusk a combination that can really roam around the map a lot and cause DC.SA a lot of trouble?
I think so. Tusk really kicks in at level 2 when he gets to both the snowball and the shards, and he's able to pretty much create situations where Jakiro can actually walk up and use that dual breath to potentially go for a kill. And both of these supports, or both of these heroes, are quite tanky in the grand scheme of supports, so it makes them very difficult. It makes SG Esports lineup very difficult to kill right now.
DC.SA, they go with that silencer. In this lineup, so far it looks like a position 5 silencer, but obviously everything could still be up in the air. Do you see this more as a core or possibly in that support role silencer?
Well, I might just assume that it's a support role silencer, and then it makes DC South America's lineup very good at teamfights right now. They can initiate with the Spirit Breaker and the Bat Rider, and then follow up with the Global Silence, making it really hard for SG Esports to respond.
Yeah, DC.SA, they look like they're looking pretty good with initiation. Early game, use that Spirit Breaker to get in. Bat Rider gets that blink. And we've seen a couple Spirit Breakers really just go off in these games where teams just don't really know how to handle a Spirit Breaker with his charges, and once he does get that level 6 with that ult as well. What's really the answer to stopping a Spirit Breaker?
Well, Abaddon is a pretty good answer, because he can shield both the person, or he can shield off the lasso, and he can also protect the person that's being gone on by the Spirit Breaker. Also, Abaddon is sort of this hero that doesn't quite care about the global silence, because his ulti still goes off, and he'll never really get bursted down during a global silence, unless, of course, the enemy still reges him, but that's probably in a very late game scenario. And so I kind of like this pick coming out of SG Esports. We don't usually see Abaddons come out too much anymore.
So now with the Ursa pickup for DC.SA, it does seem like they're very reliant on just initiating quick, getting in there, and getting these heroes dead quickly. You go in with Blink Lasso with the Ursa, he'll be getting a Blink or a charge with an Ursa behind it. Seems like they're really looking to be aggressive with their lineup.
Precisely. And another important thing about this Ursa pick is it sort of counters Abaddon in the lane. Most of the time, Abaddon's good at surviving in the lane, but Ursa's one of the heroes that can actually zone out this hero. And so far, SG Esports, they have one last ban. I think both heroes still need to select their mid hero, unless, of course, DC.SA America choose to have the silencer mid. Believe that SG Esports has the final pick, though, so they can potentially counterpick whatever DC.SA America send mid.
I'm trying to think what they're looking at. We've seen a lot of Lina in the mid lane, a couple Invokers.
Yep. Lina, Invoker, Tinker, Storm. I think those heroes are still in the pool.
Yeah.
Storm or some hero with high mobility might actually not be a bad pick for DC.SA America, as SG Esports don't exactly have a reliable stun. They have the Tusk, they have Ice Path, they have Walrus Punch and Snowball, but those aren't the easiest spells to land on a hero like Storm, although I'm not sure if DC.SA America would select that. They go with the Shadow Fiend instead.
Shadow Fiend, in some cases, could go for that Silver Edge if he picks up the Shadow Blade early enough, too.
Yep, for sure.
The Ursa.
Got pretty solid mid pick for them. The only problem is Shadow Fiend's quite vulnerable to getting ganked and in the mid game getting killed by Ruptures, so we'll have to see how DC.SA America play around that.
Yeah, especially with... If Tusk and Jakiro both come over, nicely placed shards, I feel like Shadow Fiend's one of those mids that just would really... It would really be detrimental to his game just to be having Tusk and Jakiro come over like that.
Yep. One advantage that Shadow Fiend has this game, though, is that 3 of SG Esports' heroes are melee, and Jakiro doesn't really qualify as a full-ranged hero, so he does have the range advantage this game, and if his team is actually able to protect him, I can see Shadow Fiend doing a ton of damage to the enemy team this game. Since there's really no long-range stun abilities that coming out of SG Esports, and they pick Alina. Alina's a really solid laner in general, and so gives that little bit of range element to SG Esports' team, and actually gives them a hero that can contest Shadow Fiend in lane. Now looking at both lineups, it seems like DC.SA America's lineup is more team fight oriented, and SG Esports might go for more of a pick-off or like quick skirmish kind of lineup with the Abaddon pushing out lanes, and then the Tusk, Lina, Bloodseeker going around looking for kills. There is a lot of potential from SG Esports' lineup to do a lot of tower pushing with Jakiro and Abaddon.
You think their tower pushing is going to have an opportunity? It seems like they do have some alright lockdown in the Snowball, Light Strike Ray, you know, Ice Path if they land it, but is their team fight well off enough to go up against this Shadow Fiend, Ursa? You know, they have the initiators of Spirit Breaker, Bat Rider, and Global Silence if they want to really secure the fight.
Well, in the early game, they might get away with some tower pushing before the Bat Rider gets his blink, before the Silencer hits level 6. But in the mid game, SG Esports definitely need to set up their tower pushing a lot more meticulously than DC.SA America, which have 2 initiators. That being said, if SG Esports play the map correctly, they might be able to avoid 5-on-5 fights until they decide that they're able to to pull off a team fight. Going into the laning phase, I think I haven't seen the Abaddon versus Ursa matchup in a while, but I imagine Ursa will be able to full zone the Abaddon depending on whether or not SG Esports decide to send another hero down there, possibly the Jakiro. And for the offlaner of DC, I think Bat Rider should be able to get levels against the Bloodseeker. Like, the Bloodseeker can't exactly lock down the Bat Rider, but definitely if they send multiple heroes at the Bat Rider, they can zone out the Bat Rider. And I think Shadow Fiend versus Lina to me is a bit of a skill-based matchup, so we'll see how that goes.
Where do you think Spirit Breaker is going to benefit the most?
I think most people play Spirit Breaker as sort of a lane enforcer just to scare the opponent. Like, you can't exactly get kill potential on the hero at level 1 unless there's a lot of harassment going on. So maybe Spirit Breaker will sit somewhere between mid and bottom lane and perhaps charge the Abaddon if he sees a potential kill. But I don't imagine the Lina dipping low enough in health to be a kill. So most of the time Spirit Breakers will just focus on preventing his teammates from dying, looking for potential kill opportunities, but definitely just getting experience wherever he can on the map. You can see Dire place this ward between mid and, or in the bottom river between mid and Radiant safe lane to spot out any potential rotations from the Spirit Breaker.
It seems like there's just so many times where we see a Spirit Breaker just be so aggressive and successfully so that, you know, hopefully, at least for the side of SG Esports, they're able to really deter this Spirit Breaker from going all over the place and really wreaking havoc on them.
Yep.
30 seconds to battle.
We have a smoke coming out from SG Esports into the bottom
of the
map. They do have vision of 2 heroes, maybe possibly 3 in the Silencer. Silencer spots out the smoke though, and that is a foiled smoke attempt.
A good positioning there from the Silencer to catch this smoke from 3 heroes. They're not going to continue to go in. And
it does look like SG Esports is running an aggressive trial lane with the Bloodseeker, Jakiro, and Tusk. We'll have to see how this goes. Looks like there is some lane rotation happening. Ursa's starting to run towards the top lane. I believe this is because SG Esports wanted to avoid laning the Abaddon versus the Ursa. But looks like they'll have that scenario anyway.
Yeah, so you send the Ursa up top in the off lane. Abaddon by himself in the safe lane. You take a look over mid, charge already coming in on the Lina, but you've got Tusk here, and it's another case of this 2v2 mid where you've got your mid heroes being babysat, what seems to be all the time.
Yep. I mean, Shadow Fiend's one of those heroes where the first 2 waves is so important, so they probably want to guarantee it by sending the Spirit Breaker, and just so that the Tusk can't bully the Shadow Fiend out of the lane, so.
Take a look as it's Batrider in the safe lane up against Bloodseeker and Jakiro. With this Silencer, Batrider is one of those heroes that when the opponents aren't too careful, I feel like Batrider can be super aggressive with Sticky Napalm and Firefly. Like, Bloodseeker's already got 3 stacks on him. Come Firefly level 2, you know, he could be in trouble with the Silencer.
Yep, this is definitely working out better for DC South America so far, especially with that first blood up top. I think they're just waiting for the Batrider to hit level 2, and then maybe they'll start making some moves. The Silencer's doing a great job of trading hits against the Jakiro. This Jakiro's pretty low on mana now, so if something happens in the next minute, Jakiro won't have any spells.
They could also send the Spirit Breaker down here once they do.
Speaking of Spirit Breaker, and mid.
Over mid is going to go charging in with the first hit. Bash trying to kill this Lina. One more shot, and Shadow Fiend has got that first kill for himself on the Lina, and making this mid lane seemingly easier for himself.
That's actually huge for the Shadow Fiend. More so because he's not normally supposed to do this well at this point in the laning stage.
Yeah, so now Spirit Breaker's going to charge all the way bottom. 3 stacks of Sticky Napalm on this Bloodseeker. But getting too close to that tower, not really looking to go in despite all those stacks and Firefly available on the Batrider.
Yep. We have this Tusk wrapping in on the Shadow Fiend mid. We'll see if they're able to make a kill happen off of this.
Take a look over bottom. They look to charge in again. 5 and 4. 6 and 5 on the stacks of Sticky Napalm. You come in with a Firefly. This is going to be a lot of damage output, but Batrider under this tower in a bit of trouble. He'll fall before he gets the kill on the Jakiro. So they trade kills, and Batrider dying first. Definitely not what they wanted on the side of DC.SA.
Yep. The Silencer actually rotated top. Actually, looking at mid real quick.
Yes, Shadow Fiend might be in a little bit of trouble. They've got Tusk here with the Lina level 3. Not going to be able to kill off this Shadow Fiend. Does make his way all the way out, but no regen for him, and might have to go all the way back to base.
Yep. Not too much loss though, because Spirit Breaker will get the experience from this wave, and I only think Shadow Fiend's going to lose maybe half a wave. They do rotate this Silencer top, and I think maybe this is to get more levels on the Batrider, but also to help zone out the Baden. This tower top has already taken 500 damage, so we might see an early tower kill in the top lane.
Yeah, Ursa seemingly having a free lane for himself. Already has a kill under his belt. Actually, all three of these lanes do have a kill for the side of SG Sports or DC.SA.
Regeneration.
I think now that this Bloodseeker's level 4, this lane might not be so easy for the Batrider, especially with the Tusk rotating in soon.
And he's going to come around level 2 with both Snowball and Ice Shard, so Batrider's got to be very careful here, and SG Esports look to be setting up perfectly well to get this kill. And there's the Snowball coming in. You've got Ice Shards to block him in the trees. Dual Breath in the silence, but from Bloodright will get them the kill. Goes to the Bloodseeker.
And then mid.
You take a look over mid. Stun comes out on the Shadow Fiend, getting very low. Just gets away with that kill. Jakiro TPing in. Not going to get the Liquid Fire. Throws it at the Spirit Breaker and hopes that it landed with the Shadow
They
Fiend.
do have a Shrine in 2 seconds, but this Tusk is rotating in. He might get a double
Ice
kill.
Shards. There's one. Looking for 2 on the Spirit Breaker, but there's the Shrine. Should be okay for now. Charge and that first hit bash. Another bash. So actually Tusk is in a little bit of trouble. Still trying to run away. Charge available in 2 seconds. They're going to continue to move on forward. Meanwhile, Batrider gets a kill on the Bloodseeker over bottom. But Spirit Breaker looking a bit too deep, but gets out with the charge coming over towards the bottom. Creeps. Doesn't commit fully to it, but puts himself into a safer area. Throws in a deep ward. TPing in is going to be the Bloodseeker, making so much space as this Spirit Breaker. Well, Ice Shards come out, not going to hit, but there's the Dual Breath, and as well as the Bloodright, Liquid Fire. Burn damage is too much for the Spirit Breaker to handle, and finally will drop. That's 3 heroes chasing him, and 2 for quite some time, making a lot of space.
Yep. Up top, though, we have 3 heroes rotating in, or 2 heroes rotating in, and this tower is quite low. They might be looking to take it.
Only 230 health left, and right into the hands of the Silencer is going to be this Abaddon. Not level 6 just yet. The charge is going to come through. He's already used that Aphotic Shield. So last word's going to come out. He's fully silenced. Ursa goes in, looking towards being under that tower, but kills him beforehand, and Silencer will get credit. He'll get +2, and this 2-man rotation does work out.
Yep. They also have a Shrine to heal off of, so they can still get this tower in a minute or so. And,
really good.
I think both heroes bottom are about to hit level 6. The Batrider is actually going in on this Bloodseeker.
Yeah, looking to go in deep, but Batrider taking a couple of shots from this tower will end up dropping into the Aphotic Shield. You take a look over mid, the Tusk comes in with the Ice Shards, not going to land the stun, but the Laguna Blade is there to get the kill on the Shadow Fiend.
Oh.
One bash from the Spirit Breaker, looking for more, looking to charge past this tower. One more hit, and he will get it. So they get a return kill on the Lina. But here's Jakiro, here's the Tusk. Spirit Breaker is going to be dead.
Oh, this tower top might be killed.
So 7 apiece. Ursa looking to push this tower. It's only got 191 health, and it should be going down seemingly for free.
Oh. That should be big for DC Celebrica because they have so much pickup potential on their team. Every tower they take just opens up more and more of the map for them.
Take a look. Abaddon gonna spot this Shadow Fiend. And start to chase him out, pushes him away, grabs himself the bounty runes. So.
Bloodseeker's gonna rupture this Batrider.
There's the rupture, pretty close to tower. He'll get himself a little further down. Bloodright with the ice shards as well as the snowball. They got the lasso to keep the Bloodseeker here for quite some time. Under Firefly as well as the sticky napalm. Gets himself away with both the Abaddon and the Tusk here. So he was getting quite low. Just gets himself the kill. And now you've got 3 heroes here. Ice Shard's going to block in this Spirit Breaker. 4 heroes for SG Esports. They'll take another one in the Spirit Breaker. And it's a double kill for Vittori.
Potentially a tower kill as well. The Shadow Fiend perhaps not farming as quickly as he would like to be.
Got the Mask of Madness now, and the Ursa TPing in is going to be the Batrider. Going in with the Firefly, but there are 4 heroes here. They turn it around with the Snowball. Bloodseeker going to make his way over. Last word is here from the Silencer. Ruptured again is this Batrider. Take a look over towards the Lina as the charge comes in from the Spirit Breaker. That'll just push SG Esports back and keep this Batrider alive.
Oh, Ursa's starting to work on Roshan. These last few fights have been kind of weird for DC South America because they wanted to protect the bottom lane, but at the same time, these 2 cores, the Ursa and the Shadow Fiend, haven't budged from their lanes. Now we have a Roshan attempt.
So Ursa with this Roche attempt could be in a bit of trouble with Lina coming over, but there's the charge to push the Lina back. They get the Aegis. Bloodright not going to be enough damage to pop it immediately, so Ursa gets away, but he's low on health, and that'll make the Bloodseeker quite fast if they did want to chase a couple of these heroes.
Oh. Batrider opting to go jumps first, so he'll be ready to fight when the Ursa is. And DC South America might choose to make a really big move with this Aegis. Since the Shadow Fiend is quite behind, we're not super behind, but like maybe not as farmed as he would like to be. That being said, the Lina's also in the same situation.
Taking a look at the net worth now, it is Ursa on top. He has that Mask of Madness with that first Roche kill as well. They're going to charge in on this Bloodseeker. You take a look as the ult comes in from the Spirit Breaker. Ursa hitting away, but luckily enough for the Bloodseeker, there was a stomp coming in from that Centaur in the neutral camp, but it's not going to save his life. Walrus Punch onto the Spirit Breaker, still alive, but Light Strike Array, Dragon Slave, a couple last hits from the Lina. They'll clean up the Spirit Breaker to get one of their own. So 8-10 in favor of SG Esports.
Yep. That was a huge rotation, or not huge, but that was quite a rotation from SG Esports, though, and they're going to take tower damage in both mid and bottom.
Abaddon's the only one here to defend this for the time being. They finally bring the Bloodseeker over, has Rupture available, and that's put immediately on the Silencer, but they have no way to stop him from TPing out.
Yep. It's a charge mid.
That charge all the way through. They're going to stop it at the river. And now immediately smoking up behind this tower. So no vision of that. They're going to come over bottom, it seems. They've got Batrider nearby. No Rupture for 35 seconds. But they're sending all 5 heroes here. That's a huge commitment for what seemingly looks like possibly only a Batrider.
DC South America might be okay with trading limit tower for the bottom tower here.
There's Ice Shards coming in quite deep. I don't think it catches vision of the Batrider, but they do ping it out. So Firefly looking to get really deep in these trees and avoid getting got on. That's a smoke wasted, and a tier 1 mid is going to go down after they commit fully to this rotation. The stun does hit from the Lina coming over on the Batrider, as well as the Snowball Walrus Punch. So they'll get something for their troubles, but that's tier 1 mid down and pushing on this tier 2 up top.
Yep. DC South America, they're setting up for this. This is quite a hard tower to defend once the Radiants are set up for it. Especially when you have a Spirit Breaker Ursa ready to blow up anyone that appears.
Yeah, DC.SA just continuing to keep the pressure on SG Esports. Up 2,000 net worth in the early goings of this game as we start to hit the mid game, but they've already taken a couple of towers, and that's going to be super beneficial for them and their initiators.
Tower will probably go down. We see a Midas on the Abaddon. He's probably looking to go for the super late game this game. No.
I don't know if he's even going to get that far.
We have a charge going on mid. Batrider setting up as well.
Yeah, so
I don't think they'll make this.
Could be in a bit of trouble, but it's only 2 heroes. They're going to commit fully to the charge. Jakiro's here with the dual breath. Global Silence comes out as well as the lasso, so Bloodseeker getting quite low. You've now got Silencer and the Ursa here. They'll clean up the Bloodseeker, and they do end up getting that kill, so there's the rotation over. They lose their top tier 2 as well, and again, DC.SA just pressuring the entire map.
Yep. Definitely getting way more out of this map from DC.SA, and they've been pretty much farming all 3 lanes for most of the game. So they're ahead on gold, they're ahead on kills, and they still have the Aegis. Bit of an ambitious charge mid. Ursa picks up his blink, I believe.
So now they've got the blink on the Ursa. Take a look over at the Batrider. He's working on that blink, but you don't quite need it as quickly as usual with now a blink on Ursa as well as the charge coming in from the side of DC.SA.
Yep. One thing for Abaddon though is if he does get to that point where he gets the Radiance and maybe something like a Lotus Orb, he might be able to actually save his teammates throughout the entire game and do a lot of damage. But he's a long way away, and DC South America probably know that. They're probably going to try to put as much pressure as possible in the next 15 minutes.
Take a look over mid. Abaddon and Jakiro are pushing away on this mid tier 1. Couple heroes from DC.SA are setting up. They've got Batrider TPing in. The charge comes through on the Abaddon. They're trying to set up here. They already popped his ult. They've got Lasso available. The ulti comes in from the Spirit Breaker onto the Jakiro to get 1, as well as the Ursa. Now they look towards the Abaddon. He's got no ult. He'll be killed off by the Ursa. Double kill for Licht. And looking really good defending that tier 1 over mid.
3 heroes smoked up from SG Esports. They might try to go for a kill here.
Trying to
DC South America are already rotating down to their Shadow Fiend.
So there's the Rupture on the Ursa again. Gonna try and TP out. There's the Snowball, Walrus Punch, Bloodright, no Aegis on him, so he is gonna hit the deck. But you take a look, they're gonna try and get this Tusk. He's gonna try and get out. 1 bash, there it is. Value bash from the Spirit Breaker. Charge coming in onto the Bloodseeker. Gonna be in a lot of trouble with this lasso. The stun does not hit from the Lina. They'll clean up the Bloodseeker and look for more now with this Lina trying to run away. The ult charge by the Shadow Fiend. Not going to use it in full just yet as the Abaddon's coming around the back. But 3 of these heroes alive for SG Esports. It doesn't look like they'll be able to clean up anybody on the retreat.
That was a really cool decision from the Batrider to chase the Bloodseeker instead of canceling the TP from the Tuscan. They net 2 kills because of a quote-unquote lucky bash.
That's 17% value, and Gem picked up on Tusk. And it's quite a surprise considering, not yet at least, there's no Shadow Blades on the team.
Yeah. I believe that they want to remove as much map control from DC South America as possible, because he probably understands that if they have vision of any of their heroes, they get charged and lassoed almost immediately. And so SG Esports is way back into the game, really, is just to go for whatever pickoffs they can and get whatever farm they can, but most importantly, stop getting picked off and make sure they contest this next Roshan coming up.
And that is going to be trouble with the Blink Dagger now out for the Batrider. So many forms of initiation.
Setting up for a kill top.
There it is. There's the charge coming through. They hit away at this Abaddon, force out his ult. Trying to run away, but there's really nowhere he can go. He doesn't even have a TP.
Yeah, meanwhile, we have 3 heroes smoked mid. They're looking at this Bloodseeker.
Yeah, they're looking to come in. The Blink is actually a little bit over the top of him. They've got Global Silence. There's the lasso. Last word. Another kill goes the way of DC.SA. They're going to continue to pressure this SG Esports team with the charge coming out all the way on the Jakiro. They've got Batrider here. Flame Break to push him back. Big bash coming in from the big bad Spirit Breaker. And they'll get themselves another. That's 3 kills and a double kill for the Shadow Fiend.
Yeah. Classic 17%.
Seems like he's getting every bash.
Ursa starting to scout out the Roshan spawn, and this Roshan will spawn in 2 minutes, so we'll see if they're able to get that when the time comes around. Luckily for SG Esports, though, they haven't lost the gem yet, so they'll still be able to deward and set up for this Roche fight. And Lena's just about done her Bloodstone, which should be big for her.
Just gotta hope if you're that Lena, you start to add charges. There's so many times you see a late Bloodstone and immediately they're killed off and lose their charges.
Smoking behind this Abaddon mid.
Continuing to show him over mid towards his tower. You've got Shadow Fiend nearby. They hit away at the Abaddon. He's getting quite low. The ult already popped. They've got a snowball that's going to go in deep, not going to hit on anybody. Now the Shadow Fiend sets up BKB with that ulti. They'll clean up the Abaddon, and the rest of the team will try and retreat.
Tuskar getting picked off on the left side of the map, meanwhile mid.
Take a look. Ursa goes in, goes all the way towards the Jakiro. They'll get the deny on the Lena right after getting that Bloodstone. Down goes the Lena, down goes Tusk. 3 dead again on the side of SG Esports.
Yeah. It's a really cool BKB pickup from the Shadow Fiend quite early at this point, but really paid off there. Let him get his ulti off. Basically blasted the Abaddon and prevented the Shadow Fiend from dying to any spells.
Charge all the way through towards mid. Not going to commit in between the second and third tower. But it will push back SG Esports as they start to take this tier 2 over mid.
Oh. Pretty much all the map controllers in DC South America's favor. Not only are they 12k net worth ahead, but they have way more initiation from SG Esports. In fact, SG Esports' lone form of initiation is basically Snowball and Rupture, so not exactly something DC South America are afraid of, especially with the global silence.
And they'll be waiting for Roche. 5 more seconds until it's up. Then you've got Aegis. You'll have your forms of initiation in both the Lasso and the Charge. What do you even do at that point if you're SG Esports?
I think they have to look for whatever pickoffs they can and get this crucial plus 50 damage talent at level 15 for Lena so that she can actually do enough damage to kill DC South America's heroes. For now, though, they're just stuck farming in the bottom lane. Realistically, SG Esports can't contest this Roshan, especially with all of the ultimates up on DC South America's lineup.
It'd be a last-ditch effort for him. And Jakiro, you take a look, actually, he hasn't taken that ult. He is level 8, about to level 9. Any particular reason he doesn't take Macro Fire when first available?
Could be preference. I think usually if you're maxing Liquid Fire, it's because you want to push towers, and the scaling on Dual Breath is also really good. Also, there's a charge coming down mid. It gets cancelled.
So he is going to back up. You've got all these heroes ready to push down this mid-tier 3 and really finish off this game with the Aegis. You've got 5 heroes bottom on SG Esports. They'll start to TP back. But damage is being done already. So now the charge is going to come through on the Abaddon, and he's going to come and hit on him as well in between these racks. Spirit Breaker just gets cleaned up by all 5 of these heroes on SG Esports, so maybe not the full plan from DC.SA.
Oh. Certainly not ideal to get stuck between 3 towers and ice shards, so DC.SA, they back up and they look to reset. Get the lanes out. Top lane's pushing in really heavily, and I think the Ursa pinged it out.
Let's take a look. You've got Ursa, who's picked up that ulti orb as well as that Aegis. He picked up a Midas, I think, after Mask of Madness and Blink.
Not a bad call. He might be thinking, hey, I don't really need any items to do what I need to do currently, but I do need to scale into the late game. And Ursa's not a hero that normally farms quickly, so that Midas pickup might be something he's looking for to help him scale into the late game. Especially because SG Esports are going to try to stall as much as they can.
And they get a second tower on the side of SG Esports, but it's denied, so not really full 100% win on that one.
Yep. Smoke coming out from DC.SA. The only target they can catch right now is this Abaddon. The smoke breaks, they get vision of him.
Yeah, looking at that ult, not going to use it just yet. Now he's going to charge all the way through. That's going to be the ulti popped. Meanwhile, the Tusk will go down. You take a look again at the Abaddon, who's hit by the ulti of the Spirit Breaker. He's already used his ult. He'll be taken out of the game.
There's a lasso on the Bloodseeker.
And now you take a look as there's a lasso on the Bloodseeker. Charged as well from the Spirit Breaker. He'll be killed out of this game once again. 45 seconds on the sideline.
Oh. 3 quick pickoffs. This should set up a potential push. They still have that Aegis and Cheese.
3 heroes down, now just 2. Maybe try to force the buybacks of both these heroes.
Oh. Lina opted for a 4-step, probably to help her kite the Ursa, but that does mean that her damage output probably isn't high enough to help deal with this push.
Macropire used, Macropire down, and they are continuing to push over mid. Ursa shows himself stuck in the ice path, stunned up by the Lina, and again, Spirit Breaker very deep in between those 3 towers. Don't want to get caught out too far, and Ursa is going to have that Aegis pop, so maybe, just maybe, SG Esports feel a little confident in themselves.
No, this is quite difficult for DC.SA to push if they don't go for a pick-off.
They do get the Rupture coming out onto the Shadow Fiend. He'll wait that out.
There's just so many spells that they have to run through, but they can chip at this tower to take it down.
There it is. There's the lasso coming out on the Abaddon. Blood right onto the Shadow Fiend. He's stuck in between these ice shards and the ice path, but he's going to eat that cheese. Charging up that ult. Will hit on a bunch of these heroes. Takes out Victoria. They've taken out the Bloodseeker as well. They look towards getting this Abaddon. They'll chase him towards the tier 4s, and Ursa goes in a little bit too deep and realizes that, starts to back up. Spirit Breaker going to charge on that Lina, but decides against it, and they've finally taken out this tier 3.
Buys out. He's going to be super fast from all these low heroes.
Kills off the Spirit Breaker, looks towards the Bat Rider, continuing to chase at the speed of light. Let's see, can Bat Rider get away? The answer to that is no, and he drops the gem. So 2 of those heroes die, dropping off the gem right near this shrine.
That's what happens when the VTech kicks in on the Bloodseeker.
Hear that turbo start to whiz, and Bloodseeker's on his way.
Bit of dancing around happening mid. I don't think Ursa's going to try to do anything, though. 2 of his teammates are down.
Bat Rider and the Spirit Breaker. Spirit Breaker up in 8, so Abaddon really trying to chase, but how far do you want to go? Bloodright not going to hit, and now they finally pop the ult on this Abaddon deep towards that tier 2. Spirit Breaker back alive, the charge coming through onto the Lina, and there's the Ursa coming through. Looks like he'll be able to get the kill. Actually, the Ice Path stops the Ursa. He'll be forced to use that ult. They've got the Shadow Fiend here. They'll take out 1 in the Lina. Ursa killed off, and now the Jakiro would drop as well. Abaddon with no ulti has to run for his life as Shadow Fiend is trying to kill off another hero and should be successful in doing so in 1 more shot. This Sigil doing quite a bit, and actually Abaddon denies himself. Take a look over at the Bloodseeker. He's all by his lonesome self, and Flame Break will bring him back. He's going to end up dying off to the Bat Rider, and 4 end up falling.
Meanwhile, during that fight, Shadow Fiend picks up a full butterfly, so he's going to be really difficult to kill while his BKB is up. And I think SG Esports sort of overstayed their welcome as soon as DC.SA's heroes started respawning, and got caught in between a tier 1 and tier 2 in a really bad spot. For now, I think DC.SA, they're just waiting for all their heroes, all of their spells to come up before they attempt a high ground again.
Now Lasso in 15, and then they should be ready to go.
Now SG Esports, they're sort of afraid to leave the immediate vicinity of their base, since the Bat Rider and the Spirit Breaker are missing off of the map right now.
Take a look at this Lina with the 4-staff, 8 charges on that Bloodstone. Top of the net worth for the team Followed up by the Abaddon, who's got, looking at a Solar Crest, has the Medallion, and the Vlad's Bloodseeker. Not really much to his name in terms of items, just that Yasha with the Midas, with anything really considered big.
3 hero smoke from SG Sports. They may bump into 2 of these heroes here.
They have the Invis on the Bat Rider, so SG Sports got to be careful still.
Yep. DC.SA, I think they have this ward in the bottom river that spotted out the unsmoked Abaddon, and they knew something was up.
Money to burn.
But they catch him alone here. They should be able to kill him twice. SG Esports aren't really around to respond to this.
Acropire is going to be laid down, but none of these heroes really close enough to be affected by it. Abaddon has that ult. The Aphotic Shield finally pops. One more shot will do it. Shadow Fiend gets the kill. The Blink on forward looking for another, but nobody in the vicinity.
Yep. We have a charge coming up on Alina. Ursa's ready to follow up.
Spirit Breaker looks like he's going to go in quite deep, but decides against it.
I think he remembers the last time he got caught between 3 towers.
Yeah, Shards, Ice Path, Tier 3 towers. Alina, it was not fun.
DC.SA, they're not in a hurry to make anything happen right now. You have Roshan spawning in about 2 minutes. They're pretty much out farming the enemy team, since the enemy team is not really willing to leave their base at the moment. So they're comfortable just waiting around for the next Roshan, maybe continuing to look out for pickoffs, but in a pretty comfortable position here.
Yeah, 18,000 net worth is going to be a hard mountain to climb if SG Sports get their way out of it.
Yeah. We have that Lincoln's completed on the Ursa, so he's, I guess, more difficult to rupture now, since there's really not a lot of ways for SG Sports to break this Lincoln's, especially for the Bloodseeker. I think the only spell they have to break it is Laguna Blade, Mistcoil.
He's also grabbed a Diffusal Blade as well.
Maybe Snowball breaks Lincoln's. I'm not sure how the interaction on that works. But basically counting on the Abaddon to be able to break this Lincoln's, and he's been a prime target for DT South America. Now, the cool thing about Charge is that it gets vision of what that hero sees. So DC South America, they see at least 3 heroes right now.
There's the charge. It is going to land. Snowball all the way away from this Spirit Breaker to try and get the Tusk out. He'll finally be able to escape. But you've got Ursa, Shadow Fiend, and Spirit Breaker here. Abaddon, your life just does not seem like it's going to last much longer. And there it is. Shadow Fiend gets himself his 11th kill of the game.
Huh. This ward from SG Sports just spot out this charge, but I think Lina actually doesn't have a TP, so she's gonna get hit by the charge. Whether or not there's follow-up is a different question.
Stun already used. There's the urn thrown on the Lina, and Spirit Breaker, well, it just
says hello and then goodbye.
Big fan of the Beatles there, as he just says well goodbye and walks himself away.
And Roshan just respawned, unfortunately for DC South America, who scouted it out 10 seconds ago.
But Ursa goes back in anyway. Well, feeling that it's up, and he'll do it at least for the time being alone.
SG Sports not really in a position to contest this. Nor can they. I think they're just stuck trying to defend high ground whenever the time comes. Lina finished that Hurricane Pike, looking to pick up some damage item now, starting with the small crit, then a Lincoln Sphere.
Really, the question is, how much time does she have to farm now with Aegis and Cheese on to DC.SA?
Yep. So I think SG Esports' plan here is just to sit the Abaddon in front, break any potential smokes, and prevent any potential jump attempts. Basically, he's the frontliner. He wants to be the one getting gone on, but he doesn't really have a Radiant, so he can't cancel Blinks, and DC.SA, they're set up on the right side of the fight here.
Shadow Fiend just going to go in, stunned up by the Ice Path again with that Lina. They've got the Global Silence come through as well as the Lasso. They'll blow up the Lina ulti used by that Shadow Fiend. They've only got the Lina thus far. I think they might look for more as the Lina has finally bought back to take a look at the Ursa. He's fighting 3v1. Not going to win just yet. The Aegis already popped. Here he comes with that second life, trying to find something, but they're doing a good job of kiting him around. They've got the Ice Path. Stun comes in from the Lina, finally 4-stepped away and forced to use that ult, but now he's ruptured up, so he's got to try and run himself away. He's got Silencer and Bat Rider here with the Blood Right coming through on two of these heroes, both the Ursa and the Spirit Breaker. They finally bring down the Ursa, but here's Shadow Fiend to try and clean up. He's got himself one in the Tusk. They'll clean up another in the Bloodseeker. And now retreating is SG Esports, trying to stay alive, trying to keep this game alive. Lina's going to end up dropping as Shadow Fiend dies. Both Shadow Fiend and this Ursa are dead, and they'll continue to chase on this Abaddon as he won't make it back into the base. So 4 heroes go down. They buy back on the Abaddon. They've lost themselves the mid set of racks, and you take a look over up top as Spirit Breaker looking like he's going to drop. Fuels up, Ice Path to catch him, dead once more.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
They've got themselves 4 kills, plus the 2 buybacks coming out on SG Esports. DC.SA, they lose the Shadow Fiend, the Ursa, and the Spirit Breaker.
Coin for me.
Pretty messy fight, but looks like SG Esports survive another push.
They do survive, but losing both their mid racks is definitely, with the 2 buybacks as well, not really a huge survival.
Not ideal, but yep.
Take a
They
look.
get the gem back on the Tusk at least as well. Did the Lina buy out there? No, she just died and respawned.
No, she bought back.
Okay. Just can't scroll up, I guess, so. I think DC.SA are still okay with that. They're probably just going to recuperate and maybe continue playing the game they were playing, which is looking for pickoffs, perhaps even waiting as long as Roche, or maybe going for a push anyway.
You gotta
certainly.
That Ursa's just going in a little bit too deep. He was in between 4 heroes, got picked off twice by himself.
Certainly, yes. There's not really a lot of not a lot of AoE initiation from DC.SA, so there's really no benefit to being in the middle of everyone. I think DC.SA's ideal game plan is either they just take the tower, watching the Shadow Fiend hit the tower, or they go for a quick pick off before pushing.
They are pushing this bottom tier 3, looking for their second set of racks. They've got the Bad Rider going in deep, but he's going to be used up as well as hit by that Ice Path and the Blood Right, but he's going to use that BKB, continue to go in deep with the Ursa. They're looking for something, but they're not going to find it just yet. They've got the Rod of Atos hitting on the Abaddon after the Global Silence comes out. They'll start to push themselves back as they take the tier 3 over bottom. Looked like there could be a potentially big fight, but they don't get the lasso on anybody, and their initiation is semi-botched. They do take the tier 3 bottom.
There's not a lot of vision for DC South America right now, so they're in a bit of a weird position here. I think they're choosing to back off. Actually, they do have vision. That ward never got dewarded. Interesting.
Yeah, that's got to be newer, though.
That's 3 minutes old. Oh no, that one is new. Oh.
Yeah, they dewarded the first one, and then they, as they were pushing the bottom tier 3, placed another one.
Okay, that's cool. So, I think
Spirit Breaker walks into that Ice Path. Just trying to find something, trying to find those pickoffs that they want. They don't find anything just yet, as SG Esports, they're set up and postured on the right side of this map.
I think a big thing for SG Esports is there's really no silence removal for the Abaddon, so the Abaddon can't remove Lasso from anyone or really save himself, really. And so these initiations are super easy for DC South America. The problem is just making sure that SG Esports are like slightly out of position, or just that the Ursa is in a position to burst whoever gets lassoed.
Again, they're going to push this creep wave and look to push the bottom set of racks. We'll see if SG Esports can hold. They're down 23,000 net worth. Going to be a tough accomplishment for them, and they're actually not going to sit bottom. They're going to smoke up and possibly try to go around. But the scan is here, and the scan spots out the Tusk and immediately gets pinged out.
I think they see that the ward was freshly planted as well. So DC South America definitely know that the enemy is smoked right now. I think the lanes are pushed out in Radiant's favor, so they're okay just sitting in front, slow sieging this Rex.
They'll look to go in. There's the Ice Path as well as the Ice Shards on the Shadow Fiend, but they don't care just yet. Blade Mail going to be popped by the Abaddon, and getting into a safe spot is going to be the Shadow Fiend as well as the rest of this team looking to push forward. BKB is going to be popped as they've got the Rupture on him. The lasso is going to be placed onto this Lina. Lina going to be brought into the Requiem, and it's going to be popping that Lina out of this game. They've taken out the Jakiro. They're looking for more. The Blood Riot isn't really going to stop this DC.SA squad as they all try to retreat into the well. But I don't think they're going to make it too far, as now the Tusk is dropped. 3 are dead on SG Esports, and only Bloodseeker and Abaddon remain. They have to try and defend, but against this Ursa, Spirit Breaker, the rest of DC.SA, it's going to be futile, as now they'll lose another one. They've lost their bottom and mid set of racks. They're looking towards losing their tier 4s. Nobody has buyback who's dead right now, and it looks like game 1 is going to go to DC South America. Spirit Breaker, maybe not the best move to try and go in this deep, but they don't really care. They're going to dive in, get themselves last team kill. They end up losing the Ursa, up 30,000 net worth, both tier 4s down, and that'll do it as they start to take Dire's Ancient.
I think DC South America, they played their lanes really well. They reconfigured the lanes so that the Ursa was against the Abaddon, which was the favorable lane, and I think they sort of broke even and won the bottom lane, and off of that Ursa got the first Aegis, and then a lot of key pickoffs occurred that allowed DC South America to pull way ahead in the mid game.
Yeah, DC South America played pretty much all parts of that game perfectly, and you saw another Spirit Breaker be heavily aggressive to the opponent. 1, 7, and 35 involved in so many kills, involved in all but 2. And you know, maybe it was while he was dead, but he was making things happen. You've got the Shadow Fiend at 16 and 3, Ursa 10 and 4, but really 10 and 3. He died diving the well, and DC.SA, they are 1 game away from moving on to tomorrow's final. So we'll see if they're able to keep it up in game 2. I'm your caster BCop, joined here by Franz. I'm at BCop92 on Twitter. He's at Hello Franz. We'll be back in just a moment with game 2. Stay right there. We'll be right back.